by BJ Liederman. Our sound engineer is Robert Richards. Transcripts, podcasts, audio, and video are available at amomentintime.com.
Broadcasting on 90.9 FM and HD to Farmington, Aztec, and Bloomfield, and streaming on KSJE.com to the world, this is San Juan College Public Radio Station, KSJE Farmington. It's Monday morning here on KSJE, and it's time to check in with Lewis Campbell for our Monday Reboot segment. That's when we get to talk about technology. He is here from Cintigy Computer Systems. And Lewis, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. How is everybody this week? Yay!
I think we're doing all right. Thank you. Big news from our fair state of New Mexico, of course. Richard Branson finally launched his spaceship from the Spaceport America in the southern part of our state, and kind of launched, I guess, the start of space tourism, huh?
Yeah, the New Mexico Spaceport is actually in business. You know, for a long time there, people were making fun of it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we had a launch, and Richard Branson's in space, and he's trying to outdo the other billionaires.
Right.
But at least he's doing it from here.
True. Very true. And so, you know, I guess, you know, a lot of folks are excited about that. That means, you know, this whole idea of space tourism and, you know, having these regular flights into the reaches of space, or at least the very edge of space, and those types of things, and returning safely to the ground. Let's not forget about that. That's another big accomplishment. And, of course, there are others waiting in the wings to do the same thing, I think, like Jeff Bezos and maybe Elon Musk. I don't know.
Yes, Jeff Bezos. I don't know about Elon Musk, but yeah, Jeff.
Well,
Bezos,
Elon wants to go to Mars, I guess, is where Mr. Musk wants to go, right?
I'm sure they're all. You know, I heard a joke the other day that when Richard Branson gets up into space, he's gonna find Elon Musk's car and key it.
That he sent up there earlier. Interesting. That could be. But what do you think? Is this a good idea for technology? Are we going to maybe see some advancements from some of these things that are happening with these rocket planes that are launching and things along that line? I would assume it'd be good news for research and development and those types of things beyond the economics.
Absolutely. I mean, not even talking about the incredible positiveness of getting into space and doing it through the private sector. That's amazing in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, the moon launches back in the 60s and 70s, and all the space stuff that's been done since then has birthed so much technology that we use today. We don't even realize, you know, and not only Tang, but a lot of other things that we use every day today were birthed from that kind of research. And you know, I'm sure we're just going to see much more. And, you know, I'm one of these people that's a very strong proponent of spaceflight for a lot of reasons. The technology that it bursts, what we learn from it. You know, people talk about why do we spend all this money going into space? Well, we actually get a lot of return from that. There's a lot of economic return from that, and it helps a lot of people in a lot of ways that people don't realize. But beyond that, you know, to me, I try to, with my family and my kids, once in a while we have these little fire drills, and we teach them how to get out of the house, you know, if there's and where to muster and all that if there's an emergency. I'm sure you've done that at work, but it freaks me out that we don't have that same plan for our planet. Like, you know, we have no, like, get out of here if there's a disaster plan. And so part of me is like, yeah, I'm looking towards spaceflight for that. That may be unrealistic, but, you know, I don't know. We'll see what goes on in time.
Right. Well, I guess it's the first baby steps towards maybe that type of scenario, right? So.
Yeah, but we got to have first steps, or you never get to the last step, right?
Right. So, that's what I would think. That's true. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was that ransomware hacker company we think that is in Russia or linked to Russia has disappeared from the internets last week. That I thought was interesting. Politico had a story on it because. You know, I wonder if we took them out, or if the Russian government took them out, or something else happened to them. But it seems like they've kind of disappeared without a trace.
Yeah, and honestly, I have no idea. There was some talk about them having trouble or giving up after the uh, oil oil pipeline
Right.
hack, and then they came back to the Kaseya hack to do the Kaseya hack, and now there are people saying that they've disappeared. But I don't think we really know what's happening. I would say I hope that either the U.S. or Russia took them out because President Biden made a threat to President Putin, and he'd better follow through with it, right? So I hope this is either him following through or Russia saying, you know what, we're going to take these guys out ourselves to keep the United States from following through.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it seems like, that the president was saying, gee, Mr. Putin, you got a pretty nice infrastructure you got there in Russia. Be a shame if anything happened to it, kind of a thing.
yeah,
And maybe they got the message, or maybe our crews took them out. And we've talked about that before, is that I'm sure there's cyber spying and hacking from both sides these days, and it's probably one of the costs of doing business. But I think President Biden said, look, hands off our infrastructure, because that could cause a lot of disruption. So I don't know. We'll see. But we know. There was no comment late last week, by the way, from the FBI or the CIA about any of those questions from Politico. So
of course not.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But
of course not.
Right.
We'll let the results speak for us, I guess, is what they're saying. One of the interesting things about that story, too, is that it's coming out in a couple of news reports that, this isn't a huge surprise to the industry, but it might be a surprise to people at large, that one of the methods that they used to get access to some things were by using LinkedIn, creating
Yeah.
false identities on LinkedIn, pretending they were part of like a government analysis group, and then sending messages with spyware, basically phishing messages, to government officials. So just again, be careful. Even if somebody's coming at you from your LinkedIn account or whatever, don't install things that people send to you. Don't mess with messages from people you don't know, that kind of thing. All the great anti-phishing techniques, right? You don't want to be
Right.
a fish.
No, not at all. I don't want to be that guy that takes the whole network down at my workplace.
Yeah.
So not a good
Don't
thing.
be that guy.
Right, exactly. Well, Lewis,
Or that
thank you.
girl.
Or that girl, for sure. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Always great talking to you. Have a good week.
Thank you, and have a great week, everybody.
All right, you too. That is Lewis Campbell. He is with Cintigy Computer Systems, my guest this morning right here on KSJE Farmington. The beacon is getting brighter. This is KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM. Translator K277CR.